These bullies thought it would be business as usual, but they met their match. Watch till the end. Once upon a time, there was a young, brilliant boy called Samuel. Samuel was a 12-year-old boy from a poor home. He initially attended a government school in one of the slums in Abeokuta. He was very brilliant, hence acing his scholarship exams to study at St. Anthony's prestigious all-boys boarding school. It was a very cold morning when his aged carpenter father took him to the park with excitement to journey to Lagos where he would start a new life that promised him a brighter future. When they got to the school, it was obvious they were poor beyond all doubt and bias. His father was marveled at the exquisite building and amenities. He was happy, grateful that his son Emenike Samuel Ude would be part of this luxury. He completed all necessary registrations required for a scholarship student. He held his son's shoulder, drew him close and said to him, "Nna, that is my son. You have been a miracle and a blessing to me and your mother. Your siblings and uncles are all very proud of you. Now listen. You did not come this far to get distracted. Make friends, but don't compete with anyone. They are all greater than you in status, but not in intelligence and grace. You are an all-in-one package, my child. Your next opportunity, academic-wise, depends on your performance here. Remember what they said about sponsoring you to university abroad. If you continue being intelligent and intentional." Eze, Samuel's father, kept saying. Samuel, gazing at him with utmost attentiveness all the while he spoke. "My son, as you have lifted this burden of your education from your mother and I, no burden will ever be upon your life. Everything you touch will turn gold, and everywhere you go, you shall be accepted. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I will be going now. I will visit you soon with your mother and your siblings. When I buy a new phone, I will bring you my phone number. But for now, take this one. It's Ichie Onoka's number. If you want to call us, call the number. He will reach out to us." Kambiajebe, he said, "Let me get going. Go inside now. Go and drop your suitcase." Samuel and his father bid farewell, after which he stared at him until he left the school environment. He stared up at the tall iron gate of St. Anthony Boarding School, his heart pounding with both excitement and dread. He couldn't believe he was here, about to enter one of the most prestigious schools in the country. St. Anthony's was known for producing leaders, scholars, and men of influence. For a boy from a background like him, it was an opportunity that meant everything. But Samuel knew he was very different from most of the boys in the school. He had gotten in on full scholarship. He was one of the only 5 boys that was accepted that year. The other students came from wealthy, powerful families. They wore the finest clothes, had brand name suitcases, and carried themselves with a confidence Samuel could only hope to understand someday. "Scholarship kid, right?" a voice said, snapping Samuel from his thought. Samuel looked up to see a group of older boys staring at him, smirking. The tallest one, a senior named Olumide, had an expensive watch on his wrist and an air of arrogance that could suffocate a room. "Yes," Samuel replied quietly, clutching his modest suitcase a little tighter. Olumide let out a dry laugh. Good luck to you, boy. You will need it." Samuel's heart sank as the boys walked away laughing. He knew what it was like to feel out of place, but he had no idea just how difficult things would get for him here. From the first night at St. Anthony's, Samuel realized the school had its own rules. Olumide and his friends were not just students, they were like kings, and they treated juniors like Samuel as their subject. Every day was a new challenge, a new humiliation. "Scholarship boy!" Olumide shouted from across the dormitory one evening as Samuel was unpacking his clothes. "Come here!" he shouted. Samuel walked over, unsure of what was expected of him. He had barely settled into his new room when Olumide handed him a pair of expensive shoes. "Polish them," he ordered, his voice laced with contempt. "And make sure you don't scratch them. This shoe can buy your entire family. Wretched brat. That will be your job moving forward. Do you understand me?" The seniors laughed, and Samuel was in confusion. Was that some sort of job for him? Or was it just them being domineering? He couldn't understand it. The next day, Samuel was woken by a splash of cold water over his body. drenching him and his bunk bed. He jolted up, only to find Olumide and his gang laughing heartily as they dragged him to their dormitory room to dance for them. They clapped and jeered, mocking his every move. Samuel felt like his dignity was slipping away with each laugh and each cruel word they said. He fought back tears, determined not to let them see him break. But every night took a toll. The exhaustion and humiliation began to eat away at his spirit. His grades slipped and he struggled to keep up with his assignment. The teachers noticed, but they didn't question why a bright student like Samuel was suddenly falling behind. As weeks turned into months, Samuel started to feel utterly alone. Then one afternoon, while sitting by himself in the library, he felt a gentle tap on his shoulder. Mind if I sit with you? A boy named Tunde, smiling warmly, said. Samuel nodded yes, surprised that anyone actually wanted to sit with him. Tunde was kind and, unlike the others, didn't seem to care about his background. Over time, they began to talk more, sharing stories of their families and their dreams for the future. Tunde knew about the bullying Samuel endured. You should tell someone, Samuel, Tunde suggested one day. Samuel shook his head. You don't understand. They will only make it worse. They already do things when no one is watching. How much more when I speak to someone? Tunde put a comforting hand on his shoulder. You are not alone, Sammy. I'm here for you. And if you ever want to fight back, I will help you. Samuel was grateful for Tunde's friendship, which became his only source of solace in a school that felt like prison. One evening, Olumide and his gang decided to take things to a new level. They soaked Samuel's clothes and books in the school toilet. They took turns to urinate on his stuff as they laughed heartily, making him stand there and watch them do it. When a janitor finally found them, they ran away, leaving him heartbroken. The other students stared, whispered, but no one dared approach him to offer consolation. That day, Samuel couldn't hold back his tears. He went to a secluded spot behind a library, slumped against the wall, and let his tears flow. All the pain, humiliation, and frustration poured out of him. He was tired of being the victim, tired of being bullied for something he couldn't control. He came from a poor home, and so what? He got scholarship, and so what? And as he sat there, he realized he couldn't go on like this. He needed to stand up for himself, even if it meant risking more pain. With Tunde's encouragement, Samuel decided to gather evidence. He used a small record that Tunde gave him, hidden in his pocket, to capture the senior's taunts and threats. Each time Olumide ordered him around or humiliated him, Samuel recorded it, saving each piece of evidence as if it were a precious gem. One night, Olumide and his friends went another notch higher. They forced Samuel to scrub the dormitory floor with a toothbrush, laughing as he walked on his hands and knees. Samuel recorded every word, every cruel laugh, and every insult. It was his proof, his way of fighting back. The schoolyard was unusually quiet that afternoon. Most students were in their classroom, while others were gathered in small groups under the shade of the large mango tree, gossiping and enjoying the cool breeze. Samuel, however, was on a mission. He spotted Olumide by the abandoned science lab, alone for the first time. The sight of him triggered a flood of emotions, rage, humiliation, and determination. He could no longer suppress them. Samuel clenched his fists and approached him. Olumide turned at the sound of approaching footsteps, his trademark smirk curling on his lips. What do you want now, weakling? Have you come to beg for mercy? Samuel didn't respond. He stopped a feet away from him. His eyes locked on Olumide's. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Olumide Badmus, you think you can keep humiliating me? Samuel's voice was steady, but laced with anger. Not anymore, boy. Olumide laughed a short and mocking sound. Hey, God. Look at you, acting tough. What are you going to do about it? Without warning, Samuel lunged forward, his fist connecting squarely with Olumide's jaw. That is, he gave Olumide a very powerful punch on his jaw. The force of the punch sent Olumide staggering backward, and that wicked laugh that is always on his face wiped off. What the hell? Olumide stumbled, clenching his mouth. Blood dripped from his lip. And when he pulled his hand away, a tooth was missing. That is, Samuel blew a tooth off his mouth. You little son of a. Before he could finish his statement, Samuel didn't even let him finish. He grabbed Olumide by the collar. His years and months of pent up frustration fueling every ounce of his strength. Where is your gang now? Samuel growled, his breath hot against Olumide's face. Who is the weakling now? Olumide screamed, trying to break free, but Samuel's grip was unrelenting. His scream filled the air, high pitched and desperate, like a toddler denied his favorite lollipop. The commotion drew the attention of nearby teachers. Two of them rushed to the scene, their faces a mix of shock and anger as they separated the two boys. Samuel, Olumide, what on earth is going on here? Mrs. Adeleke, a no nonsense history teacher, shouted. Samuel's chest heaved as he stepped back, his fist still clenched. Olumide was slumped against the wall, cradling his mouth and whimpering. This kind of violence will never be tolerated, backed Mr. Adekunle, the disciplinary master. Samuel, you could be expelled for this. Your scholarship can be withdrawn. For a moment, fear flickered in Samuel's eyes, but he quickly stood tall. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out his tape recorder. His hands trembled as he pressed play. The device crackled to life, and Olumide's voice filled the air. Scrub the floor, loser! Polish my shoes, stupid! Look at him. What a pathetic excuse for a human being. How are you people this poor? Get out of here, stupid boy. Every insult, every taunt, every crowd laughter played back in excruciating detail. The teachers' faces paled as they listened, their anger slowly shifting from Samuel to Olumide. Is this real? Mrs. Adeleke whispered, her voice shaky. Yes, Samuel said firmly, and there is more. The recording continued, exposing every vile word and action Olumide and his gang had inflicted on Samuel. By the time it ended, the teachers were silent, their expression a mix of disbelief and shame. Mrs. Adeleke finally spoke, her voice cold and authoritative. Olumide Badmus, come with me to the headmaster's office, now. Olumide opened his mouth to protest, but a glare from her silenced him. As they led Olumide away, Mr. Adekunle turned to Sabo. You should have come to us sooner, Samuel. Violence isn't the answer, but I understand. We'll deal with this properly. For the first time in what felt like forever, Samuel felt a weight lift off his shoulder. He knew he might still face consequences for his actions, but for now, he had won, and for once, the bully was the one powerless. Olumide and his gang were called into the headmaster's office, their faces a mixture of shock and fear. They had never expected that Samuel, the scholarship boy, could have this kind of brain to record them and even to stand up to them. Their punishment was swift and severe. Olumide and his friends were expelled, their reputation tarnished, their future uncertain. They wrote to every secondary school in Nigeria to not admit them. Not just that, their parents were told to pay a fine to Samuel and his parents. This money was supposed to cover for the damages they inflicted, the books they destroyed, his clothes, and his therapy session for his mental health that they almost destroyed. Samuel felt a sense of justice, a glimmer of hope that maybe things will be better from now on. Word spread quickly from the student, and Samuel's bravery earned him newfound respect. The other students no longer looked down on him. Samuel walked through the hall of St. Anthony with his head held high. The journey had been painful, the scars deep, but he knew he had come out stronger. He had learned that standing up for himself was never easy, but it was necessary. And he had found true friendship in Tunde, a friend who had believed in him when no one else had. As he graduated from St. Anthony, he got the scholarship to study in Harvard University. Samuel felt a quiet pride in his heart. He had survived, he had triumphed, and he had proven that no child deserved to be bullied, no matter where they came from or how they got here. Did you enjoy this story? Because I did. The bullies finally got what they deserve. Tell me what you think about Olumide, kids that bully, and kids that stand up for themselves. Like and share. Turn on your post notification bell to be the first to know when another amazing story is made available. Till the next story lovers, enjoy your day. Bye.